Hi there. This is my Jing, or sorry, rather, I should mention my name. I am Sean Logue. This is for the online XML programming class at Manchester Community College. Would be the Jing for week 9. This week you asked us to, you basically said that the rest of the class would be about actually implementing XML in the way that you would use it out in, I guess the field, or if you had a job, or if you were trying to do a real project for it. So you asked us to write code in whatever language we wanted to convert an CSV file of the room lists and all that to an XML file. So that is what I have done. To begin with, just to make sure you hear this part, I am uploading this late, so I just basically started and finished the work today, April 2nd. That's a Tuesday, so the work was all due last night at midnight, so I didn't get it done on time, and if you decide not to give me points for it, that's totally fine. I know it's totally up to your discretion to do that, so but I just want to make sure I did it because I know all the work from here on out depends on this. So with that said, I started going off some code that I found online and just sort of converted it to my own purposes. Unfortunately, it kept giving me errors, and I'm not entirely sure why. It looks like their code was based off a previous version of Python, but I was quite unfamiliar with it, and the errors it gave me were just very vague, like invalid syntax. This is what you see here on the left. I could not get this to work. What I decided to do is just go back to what I know and I've spent a lot of time doing, and a lot of that just goes back to the object-oriented programming class I took. So I'm doing this all in Python, by the way, and I have this file, which seems like it does the job. So I'm using the CSV importation. I'm not really sure what it does. Again, that's one of the things I imported, but it seems to work for me. So basically what it does is it looks at the CSV. For each row, I'm counting the row number. So that just helps me keep track of everything, and I use it later on. If the first item in the first row is building, then I add that to a list called keys. The reason I do this is because, sorry, I just got to blow my nose real quick. Sorry about the inconvenience. As I was saying, the reason why I have this if statement here regarding building is because the first row in the CSV reader and in the CSV file would actually be sort of the headers for the XML categories or their elements, whereas the rows below contain the information that would go between those elements, the data. So this entire row of the CSV, I'm turning into keys in a dictionary, but right now I'm just appending them to a list called keys. Then for every other row, which should have the data, that goes to a list called values. Now, obviously, if I just did that as is, the list of values would constantly be getting written over. So this all goes, the rest of my code is dependent on this system where it does something each time it goes through the row. So I add to the list called values, and then I zip those two together into a dictionary. And then I print it. A lot of my print statements here are just to make sure that that I'm getting the correct values. Then with opening an XML document, so I'm creating an XML document that is titled the row number that I'm working with. Sorry if that's hard to follow, but if you look over here on the side, you can see that I actually haven't let my program finish, but it's getting what I want. The results are what I want, and I'll show you that in a moment. So each XML file is named after the row number it is. What I do, I made the root, which shows, which basically says, it's called class. And then the attribute is the row number, which again is the name of each XML document. It writes that root, so this statement with the tags that make it an element. And then for each key in the dictionary, so for each header, what it prints is a space, or the tabbed indent to make an XML document. It does this here, which is the first part of the element, the value, which is the data inside, and then the ending element with the backslash. I believe that's a backslash. Then it moves to the next line. And then it does the ending root tag. I don't know if any of that was coherent to here, but if we look at this file, this is technically the second line, but it's called 3. This is what I get. And that seems to work out fine. That seems like it's exactly what we want. Just to test it though, so this goes down to 15 lines because like I said, I haven't let it run further than that. Maybe that's a bad idea, but if we let the module run, it'll produce a lot of lines here. We'll just wait a while to make sure it goes past 15, and you can see it has. So we'll interrupt that, and we'll look at one of these newer ones. So 22, if you go to edit that, it's still working fine. As you can see, it just created this because it only had 15 before. Class row equals 22, and it shows all the different information for this entry in the CSV. So I realize I'm at 6 minutes, so I'll try to wrap this up, but I hope this isn't overly complicated, and I don't know how it will perform when we add different fields to this category. I'm thinking it should work fine because most of it has to do less with the specific data and more with the variables that is holding that data. So I'm looking forward to next week. I'm going to try to get banging on that as soon as possible. Like I said, I apologize that this is late, but I want to make sure I have enough time to keep up. I don't fall behind and everything. So I'm going to try to get this up as soon as possible. I'm sort of toying with the idea of not writing the wiki, not because I just don't want to do it, but again, I want to make sure I don't fall behind. So if this week's work, even late, gets uploaded at a later time or edited, it might be me adding the wiki after I finish this upcoming week's work. Anyway, this is Sean Logue. Thank you for your patience and your time, and I hope you have a great week. Excellent. Thank you.